Race 1 of the Castrol Formula Regional Oceania Championship is all set to go here on a Saturday of Grand Prix weekend at Highlands Motorsport Park in the beautiful central Otago here at Cromwell. Stephen McIver with Andrew Wade ahead of the race, and we're going to talk about this. We've seen many stories, Andrew, throughout this championship, but you got a pole position today. Patrick Hoytson-Roeder, the young Australian, his first pole, and looking quick, and finally, when it comes near the end of the championship, delivered.
If you want to deliver at any stage of the championship, it's towards the end on Grand Prix weekend. So for him to be off the pole position is fantastic. It's a real confidence booster for him for what he's got planned for the rest of the year.
Well, he's going to run GB3, so it's a similar championship, probably different style of cars. But from what you've seen, does he become even more competitive after the series?
Absolutely you do. You're here, you're part of it, you know you're competitive against some of the best there are in the business. So to be here doing that is just a massive confidence booster. It's certainly changes things up once again. It's nice to see another car as well on pole position. We've seen Lindblad, he's not quite got it all his own way this weekend. He's other rounds, we've seen how fast he is and what he's been able to achieve, but he's certainly been on the back foot, shall we say, this weekend.
Yes, but he's on the front row, right beside Patrick Hoytson-Roeder. And when you think of it, at the end of this race, he could be the CT Frog champion. He just has to finish in front of Nikita Johnson. Basically, championship is his, and it'd be interesting going through that from that start position, because that's so exciting, that first run.
Yeah, it really is, and he'll be on the cleaner line on the outside as well, down into turn 1. So the start, he'll know that heading off the start that he might be able to get that little bit of a jump on Hoytson-Roeder as he gets off the line. So it'll be interesting to see the way that works out as well. But there is a bit of a tailwind down into turn 1 as well. Obviously, it helps all the drivers, but it's something to note as well is the bus stop. It's a high aero, super fast part of the track that when you've got that little less aero heading into all that tailwind, we might see a few moments as we go through that bus stop today.
We've seen moments all weekend as we had through the whole season. That wind really has picked up, and the temperature has dropped, right? A lot of high cloud has come down a little bit further now, and it's not as hot. How does that affect tyre wear?
Yeah, it just means that you can press on just a little bit more and make the tyres last a bit longer by, you don't have to look after it just as much as you did earlier on in the weekend or when it had that sweltering heat. You can press on, you can adjust the tyre pressures just a little bit more, you can run a little bit more pressure, but you can make it last as well.
If we stay on the theme of heat, we've just been talking to the GT drivers. They were wet, they were just soaked. Yep. What about these cars? Does that become an issue as well?
Oh, it's brutal. It's super high intensity when you're in the car. You've got to remember the steering in these cars is so heavy as well. These guys are all used to it, especially after 5 weeks straight of it. They know what it's like now. They've built up, muscle memory of how the cars are to drive, and they know what they're used to now and how to look after that and get the most out of it. But it is hard work in these cars. You've got the high aero, so your neck's giving way at the same time, but just how heavy that steering is too is something to think about, especially when we head towards the Grand Prix tomorrow.
Yeah, which is really exciting with Brock Feeney on pole, by the way. Nikita Johnson has had an incredible second half of this championship, Nikita Johnson. What do you make of his chances? Sitting in P9 here, but in second position in the championship.
Yeah, he's had a fantastic championship. He's been there. You can sense that, he just would love to get, a couple of wins under his belt, but he's always been there, and that's why he's sitting in second place in the championship. You don't need to win every race to be in the championship hunt. You've just got to be there when it counts, and that's what Nikita's done. He's been there the whole way through the championship, being consistent and delivering.
And when we talk about consistency at this level, how important is it for every driver to understand what that means day in, day out?
Yeah, it's just trying to maximize every single opportunity, and what a lot of these guys will be doing as well is they'll be using not only this race but the race tomorrow morning as testing for the New Zealand Grand Prix. The guys that aren't in a championship fight, if there's a gap between them and the next car around them, they can really throw something at the car to go, right, let's give this a go. Let's see if we can figure out where we can make another leap and set up to be able to fight for the New Zealand Grand Prix, because every driver wants this championship as much as they want the Grand Prix. You've got to remember there's only one other Grand Prix in the world outside of Formula 1. That's Macau. That's right here at Highlands this weekend too.
It is such a wonderful thought to think who might win this Grand Prix tomorrow, but Nikita Johnson has been one of the many stories we've had over the last 6 weeks, and before this weekend got underway, Greg Russ sat down with the young American, and actually you discovered it's not just about America, but there's also Europe in his sights as well.
It has been fantastic to have you in this series. Has it lived up to your expectations, and what's the biggest takeaway for you?
I think the track time, how much run time we get. It's quite a bit. We have 2 full days of testing, then 2 qualifyings and 3 races, so we get a lot of track time.
5 weeks back to back. Is that good? Is that taxing? What's that been like?
Very good. I mean, you get to explore the countryside, so I think you have about 2-3 days a week, and then you have like 4 days of driving for 5 weeks straight, so it's amazing.
Have you been enjoying New Zealand and taking in other parts of it in between time?
Yes, very much so.
Tell me about the moustache, the mo. They say it's a lucky charm. Where does it come from? What can you share the backstory there?
I don't know, I get told I look like Jeff Gordon, and he had a mustache. And then one of my teammates and friends last year bet me I wouldn't grow it out because I have a lot of facial hair at a young age.
I wish I could have done that at your age. I don't think I could have, but I can understand the Jeff Gordon resemblance. Was he the source of inspiration for you? Who's the driver that was perhaps the idol for you when you were younger?
Vettel was one of them, Hamilton, and then more on the IndyCar side, I think Dixon, and the NASCAR Jeff Gordon, which is kind of ironic because I had a little baby seat that had Jeff Gordon's number on it, and that's how I got into racing, was because somebody told us at the BMW sales or dealership that there was a go-kart place nearby once they saw my NASCAR seat, and that's kind of how it all started. So it all loops back around to Jeff Gordon.
That is cool. What about mentors and people that have helped you along the way? I mean, there's a couple of people in this paddock this year, and you're among them, that's had this kind of meteoric trajectory. How have you gone about dealing with that, and have there been people that have offered some advice along the way?
Yeah, there's a few people that have. I mean, there's almost too many to count, but I think the biggest people are my dad. I mean, he's always been there, in my corner since day one, of course, just like every other dad. So very happy to have him. Harry Soden, my management, my manager and part of Infinity Management. He's been there, the past this year and last year, so he's helped a lot with just mental and trying to, point me on where to go, because this sport's very tricky on that.
M2 have an unbelievable record in this paddock and in this country, the quality of people that they bring. What have they been like to work with? Amazing.
It's one big family, the hashtag is one team, so we all share data very good, and the debriefs are very nice. So I'm just learning a lot from this team on how to deal with your teammates, because sometimes in other categories it's a bit hard. Especially when you go to Europe, it's a bit more cutthroat, but here it's very nice to have.
I mentioned to you last weekend when we were at Terratonga, I'd had a nice message from Max Pappas, and he said that he's been watching in the States and to wish you well. I mean, to think that, there's been a bit of that sort of reaction in the States, and that's the sort of thing that is bringing some American drivers like you to come down each summer and be a part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very big. I mean, everybody watches this, and hi Max, I'm very happy that he's watching, and sometimes we've been texting, but with the time difference it's very hard. He's another one in my corner that's helped out a lot, but yeah, I mean, this championship goes to so many people and viewers that watch this, so it's great to get my name out there a little bit more.
This race, this is how I'd love to end this conversation. I mean, the New Zealand Grand Prix is a very special thing in this part of the world. What would it mean to win that? Is that your target, or are you thinking more about the title here? What are you doing?
That's my target. Yeah. I mean, there's 2 races left that I want to go win. I mean, the reverse grid is nice and all, but I would like to win race 1 or race 3, majority race 3, because that's the Grand Prix. So hopefully my win can be the Grand Prix. There's only Macau on this one besides actual F1 events, so hopefully we can get it done.
Go well. It's been awesome to have you a part of it this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, he's a very interesting young man, and he's got a busy season ahead. Nikita Johnson, he'll be racing in the UK in GB3, and he'll also be racing in Indy next. 4 rounds, starting with, in a couple of weeks' time, St. Petersburg. Let's take a look at the track map. Andrew Waite joins me, and it's a doozy.
Yeah, it's a very, very fast track as we make our way down into the bus stop, with a 4-kilometer distance for this track, and then as we make our way around the track down into turn 3 and 4. Very, very fun part of the track. Then go under the bridge, down into the carousel, and you make your way down towards turn 9, flat all the way towards there before you make your way back to the bridge, as we will see these cars completely airborne up over the bridge. And as we see them, we'll do a bit of a practice start to get underway for this race very shortly. We'll have a warm-up lap, we'll see them line back up on the grid, and it'll be game on.
Andrew, you were in the FT60 this weekend, and I know you only did a few laps, but the physicality of doing 3,500 kilometers, it's a lot, isn't it?
It is. It's a hell of a lot. It's such a fast track as well, and the commitment. You heard Brock Feeney say he was having 500 crashes. He was close to having 500 crashes a lap, but that's what it's like and what it takes to be fast around here.
Let's take a look at the grid then. For race 1 here at Highlands, the final 3 races, and it's Patrick Huizenrode on pole, his first of the season. Arvid Lindblad, the championship leader, alongside. Will Brown starts 3rd. Welcome him back. And Michael Shin starts 4th. Zach Skula won the rookies. He starts just behind in 5th with Zagazeta. Then it's Feeney and Rashid, Nikita Johnson and Nicholas Montiero. Jet Bowling starts 11th. And Sebastian Manson of New Zealand starts 12th. Then it's Stati, Enzo Ye of Chinese Taipei, Alex Crosby of New Zealand, James Lawley of Canada, and Barrett Wolf starts 17th from the USA as a rookie. Been a really good weekend for the 32 of Sean Rashid. I'm going to be interested to see what he can do in this race. You mentioned it just a moment ago. The weather has changed dramatically in the last hour or so, hasn't it?
It really has. The sun's not beaming down on the track like we've seen earlier on. There's a bit of cloud cover now, so a little less UV will mean that the track is that bit quicker because it's not getting heated as hard. So we might.
Will the tyres last longer?
Definitely. We'll definitely see a bit more life out of these tyres. So it'll just mean some harder racing. But what I'm interested to see here is where the passing opportunities are going to be around here. I'd say down into the hairpin, we're going to see a bit of passing down into there. And also the left-hander after the bridge, which is the corner that they've just been through here. So I reckon there's a couple of passing opportunities here. We know it's hard to pass in these cars, but we've seen it over the years that Highlands does bring a lot of passing opportunities. So I'm expecting some good racing.
29 ambient, 36 track temperature.
Well, there you go. Definitely a lot lower than what we've seen it throughout the weekend at this point. So Thursday was a lot cooler for the first day of testing for these guys, but it's certainly warmed up and yeah, it's settled down a bit for now. But Huizenrode off the pole position. It would be a nice feeling for him lining up there at the same time. The nerves will be up as you roll your way onto your starting grid.
Yes. David Brabham will be crossing his fingers back in Australia, and Ollie Rowland, the mentor of this man, Arvid Lindblad, will be crossing his fingers back in Europe. It's a full grid of 17. It's been a long 5 weeks for all of them. They've learnt a lot, and now it comes down to just 3 races. What a scalp this would be for Huizenrode if he could do something here in this race. And Lindblad can win the championship here if he stays ahead of Nikita, but he's got to be careful going into that bus stop. Doesn't want to risk everything on the opening lap of 18.
Well, we did see it at Tiratonga. He went around the outside of Matthias Zagazeta, so he's not scared of putting it all on the line. As they look at the gantry, the big orange gantry, as the lights start coming on.
Here we go then, lights on. Out go the lights, away we go. A good start from Huizenrode of Australia. He's got the jump on Arvid Lindblad, who slots in behind him quite sensibly. Now he looks to the outside. Huizenrode closes the door. Nikita Johnson up to 3rd and holding off Will Brown for now. I say up to 3rd, he holds 3rd. Michael Shin, that is, excuse me. An all big moment for Barrett Wolf.
That was side by side with Crosby through there. They touched wheels and Wolf there managed to just hold on to it. But Lindblad has got all sorts of pressure on the back of Huizenrode. But great start by Huizenrode there as he runs a little bit wide. Bit of understeer on the exit of turn 3.
Yeah, this first lap is crucial. And, of course, Michael Shin it is in 3rd position in the 23. Then Will Brown, Skula 5th, Zagazeta 6th. Then Sean Rashid, who made a spot up. He's up to 7th. And Feeney, pole for the Grand Prix. He sits 8th at the moment. We're keeping an eye on Nikita Johnson, who dropped down to 10th. So a lot of work for the young American to do. Into the hairpin for the first time.
So you see there, naturally there, Huizenrode's car is struggling to get a bit of rotation out of early as these front tyres are still coming up to temperature. As they arrive at the bridge entry for the first lap, track limits are something you got to think about as airborne up over the top of the bridge. So good.
Fantastic shot that. And here they come then to finish the first of 18 laps. Long way to go in this one. And Huizenrode can settle down now. He's done the hard part, which is to get the whole shot and hold off Lindblad. He would love nothing more than to get a win here. And here they come past the pit straight to complete the first lap, and Huizenrode sets a 1:35.3, and Arvid Lindblad, very similar, 1:35.347, just slightly quicker. So Lindblad on the way, trying to catch Huizenrode as they go through the bus stop again and into the forest.
So I'm expecting in this race Lindblad to not take too many risks, because all he needs to do is finish in front of Nikita Johnson. So this one here, I can see him just sitting there and sealing the deal, not taking any massive risks to then set himself up for tomorrow to use race 1 as a test session before the Grand Prix.
Will Brown getting very racy on the back of Michael Shin, who was third in the Grand Prix here last year, and so knows this track well, but under pressure now from Will Brown, who's had a stunning weekend so far. He and Feeney, his teammate, launching the supercar this morning, and then getting some very good qualifying in as well. They will be a factor in the Grand Prix as they start on the front row. Bit of a lock-up there from Brown, but that's been something that we've seen from Will Brown throughout this season. Doesn't mind throwing a bit of a lock-up here and there, but it hasn't done him any harm. He's not flat spotting the tyres. He's just, you know, it's usually just one tyre.
Yeah, you can sort of get away with it in the early phases. These tyres are still coming up to temperature with the odd lock-up here and there. It doesn't damage the tyre too much, but you can see the pressure he's starting to put on. But just looking at the running order at the moment, Brock Feeney's actually dropped a couple of positions. He's now down into 11th spot. So we did hear him say in his interview after qualifying that he's now got to focus on his race starts, and obviously didn't quite get the best start and has dropped a couple of positions.
Yeah, he's down to, what, 11th, behind Nikita Johnson, who's now up to 10. But right now, Lindblad on song to take the title. And I think for Lindblad, he'd be much happier to approach both race 2 and the Grand Prix unfettered, with a chance to win it. As we look at Bruin Beasley, team manager and principal of M-Tech from Australia. And he'll be delighted to have an Australian in the car and doing as well as he is.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see guys like Brock Feeney actually running the full amount of fuel that, a bit of a lock-up in the background, the amount of fuel that's required for the Grand Prix, you know, running that bit extra weight to really focus on a car for that, because you think for Brock, he doesn't need to worry about a championship. He's only focused on one race, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're doing those sort of things to really hone in on that Grand Prix win.
You know, it's interesting. Look at the record of Huizenrode. He got an 8th, a 9th, and a 5th round 1, a 5th, a 4th, and a 7th. Then he upped the pace dramatically at Terra-Tonga with a 3rd, 4th, and a 3rd, and last time out, a 4th, 3rd, and 4th at Terra-Tonga. Manfield was the one before that. So he's just improved as the season has gone on. And he's looked the part, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's certainly been there, even from round 1. And Huizenrode as well has certainly been one that's made a lot of passes throughout the championship, always been up the front running, and Greg down the lane.
Andrew, just to answer your question in relation to, are they maybe running a fuel load on Brock Feeney's car to simulate for the Grand Prix tomorrow? I've had a word with Bruin Beasley. He smiled. He said, no, we're not. We are happy. We're quite content, but it came with a smile. So read into that what you will.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's actually something I found out. I was sniffing around after the qualifying, and I found out that the reason why some of the guys were so successful, even on rubbed-in tyres, was that they were using very low fuel loads.
Yeah, and that's the one. And I nearly went as far as saying that I wouldn't be surprised if you see someone like Brock actually come in for a setup change, but they more need to focus on the distance runs, running the car for as long as you can to really, you know, get the car as good as you can over the long distance now, as Brock hasn't been in the car for an 18-lap run yet. So
that's true.
He's going to be learning a lot of how the tyre works every lap and just simulating as much as he can to focus on the big one tomorrow.
The gap between Huizenrode and Lindblad now, 0.487, so the Australian doing a good job of controlling this race. He knows what's behind him and how good Lindblad can be, and he has been showing it all season long. Brock Feeney, though, what a phenom! To come here out of nowhere, and I say out of nowhere, but, you know, runner-up in the supercars, but not a single-seater guy by any means. And after 4.5 weeks of constant driving, he beats the lot of them for the Grand Prix pole. That's so impressive.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see him doing that well, and as they made their way down towards the bus stop again. It's such a fast part of the track, and that's another thing for Brock as well, just to learn, for him to learn how to follow other cars with this much aero. It's understanding, right, how much how much grip am I losing with the aero wash from the car in front? And there's just so much that, you know, we take for granted watching that Brock is still picking up. And when I say learning, it's only a couple of corners. He goes, okay, I understand that now. I understand what I need to do around here. And again, that's why he's as fast as he is. And same with Will, he's another one with all that experience. They just learn at a very fast rate and, you know, do the homework and understand as much as they can to be able to fight for the wins.
What impresses me is the way Will Brand goes about his racing. Look at this. This is typical tactics. He does the high and wide, then gives him a nudge. But basically, he's not afraid to stick right in the wheel tracks as Liam Skeets is back after his test in the USA. The man who won this Grand Prix this weekend, or this time last year. We'll hear from him tomorrow. Gets a thumbs up. Well done on the test, mate. And did a very good job in Indy Next, along with Callum Hedge.
He certainly had that same smile on his face this time last year, didn't he? With that New Zealand Grand Prix win, which was brilliant to see him take out that New Zealand Grand Prix. And, you know, I really hope he goes on and does a fantastic job this year, which I'm sure he will.
I'm not being funny, but that's why we get so excited. It's not just that it's a Grand Prix, it's the difference between potentially going forward in your career. And with Liam Skeets, that win vaunted him into a chance of America and where he is now. And there's no question about it.
Yeah, he's going to go well, as we can see. Tony Quinn there with Ryder
Quinn, yeah.
And we've seen Ryder, he's been part of this championship for a few years as well, watching on, and he's been very, very fast in the Career Cup series over in Australia.
Tony's grandson, of course, and 8th in the Grand Prix last year. Great guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's great to see him here this weekend, watching over and reminiscing. We know how fast he was here when he was here last year too.
So where does Will Brown make a move on Shin, we wonder? He's dropped off a little bit from where he was last time out, but he's trying very hard right now and putting a lot of hurt on Shin and trying to force him into a mistake. And as they fight, Zagazeta, just behind in the 8, is catching up, so too is Skula. Yeah, there's that controversial part of the course where they moved it slightly. You said, what, a foot?
Yeah, it's only a foot, but it hasn't actually changed too much for the drivers to make it. It's, you know, it's slowed them down just a little bit, but you just got to add that little bit more lock through there, so it really hasn't affected them and the way they run through there. But you just got to be a bit more careful of making sure you stay within track limits. But something to really focus on for the drivers. It's such a fast part of the track, and you know, doing everything they can. They'll be getting warnings as well if there's any track limits. You can get a couple of warnings, but by the time you're at the 3rd warning, that's when penalties start getting applied.
I mentioned you've driven the circuit this weekend in one of these cars. What's the tricky part?
All the high-speed areas. You got the bus stop. As what I found the hardest part is as you go into the bus stop, the curbs there, you want to use as much curb as you possibly can, but at the same time, you don't want to use too much and have the car bounce off it and throw you somewhere we really don't want to be. So those high-speed parts of the track are something to you know, really think about. And for this part of the track you're here is so fast, all the way down here, you're just pulling gears, you're full throttle the whole way down, and even in the toe when you're behind the car in that dirty air, it would still be full throttle all the way through, so you can pass down into this hairpin here.
Yeah, Will Brown has been lining him up through the carousel and then here and coming into the hairpin, doing the switchback. Now he's got alongside it, but you've got to give here. You cannot go 2x2 through there. We've seen it in the past. So Will taking big risks, but he's surely going to make a move. And the way he seems to do it is just bide his time until he gets to the carousel, and I think he's going to make a dive at the hairpin.
Yeah, it does look like where he's going to get that move done. It's all about getting that run off the exit of the carousel. And again, because it's like another straight from that carousel, that banked corner, from there onwards, it's really important to be able to get on that gas as hard as you can. And if that works, then you've got that big long run down to the next corner.
Well, after a few laps of just 0.5, the gap has gone up to 0.7 now. So Huizenroder, again, still very much in control. He'd love to extend that to about a second, because that's a mammoth lead over a guy like Arvid Lindblad, who really hasn't put a foot wrong all season long.
It's also great.
Oh. Well, I said he would push it on. He is.
He certainly is, as he's putting a lot of pressure on.
Watch him through here, Andrew. Look how close he gets here. Then he'll tuck himself in, and he'll go for the high and wide line at the hairpin. and try to get up the inside as they hit the apex.
Yeah, I don't think he's quite close enough this lap. He didn't quite get the exit he would have liked out of the carousel, so you can sort of see the car buck sideways from the sting and lost the exit there.
It's good racing by Michael Shin too. Pressure like this is not easy.
Looks like on the front of Will's car as well. He's actually got a bit of a rubber mark on there, so he must have just
he's tagged the back of Shin already, yeah.
Tagged him somewhere along the way, so luckily it was right on the nose, so it hasn't caused any damage to the aero on the front of that car.
Yeah, nobody told him that that's not what we do in single seaters.
Yeah, that's the one.
8 of the 18 gone. It's still Huizenrode and Lindblad. Great Britain versus Australia. Michael Shin of South Korea is third. Will Brown of Australia fourth. Zagazetov fifth of Peru. Skula is doing a great job in 6th place. The rookie champion for this season. Good gaggle battle here between Manson, who crosses the line in 9th position ahead of Nikita Johnson, and Brock Feeney just behind. The 3 of them going through the bus stop.
As the race ticks on, nearly getting towards, we're at the halfway point of this race now. Great to see so many people over the weekend being part of the action, and as we build up to the New Zealand Grand Prix, it's certainly going to be one to watch tomorrow.
Yeah, no question about it. Remember, top 8 reverse grid for race 2. And that will see, at the moment, Monteiro starting on the front row with Rashid. That'll make for an interesting race, for sure. But it's starting to fade for Nikita. But to be honest, at 16, the youngest competitor here, I think he's equipped himself superbly and really made a name for himself. Nobody expected, when it was announced that Lindblad would be coming here, to beat him. And certainly not somebody with the experience of Nikita. Certainly Lindblad with a lot more under his belt.
So Sebastian Manson sitting there in 9th position as well. Is qualifying for the Grand Prix, sort of not quite where he would have liked it as well, just missing out on that top 8 shootout for that part. Is you can just see the difference as well. Now Brock Feeney's just sort of stuck in there in that aero wash. He's not able to make any inroads. We know he's clearly got pace, being able to qualify on pole for the Grand Prix, but he's sort of stuck in there at the moment.
Yeah, Jet Bowling in 12th place is starting to try to eke out a little bit of time and join this group of 3. Currently in 12th position, Enzo Ye 13th, then Lawley, Statty, Crosby and Wolf is your entire field. The gap's gone up to 1.1 now between Huizenrode and Lindblad, and while he won't be relaxing, it's working for him in terms of the control factor. 10 gone of the 18. Let's head down to Greg Rust.
Jonathan, just on Pat Huizenrode, let's not forget during the week he announced that he's off to XL Motorsport, back to GB3 this year in the UK. So the weight of his future and perhaps a bit of uncertainty on that is off his shoulders. He was so excited about that news. Having had a moment to speak with some of the MTech crew, and I said, what is it about him this weekend, or perhaps even last weekend at Teretonga? He spent the opening 3 events with David Bradden helping him, of course. They feel like he's absolutely taken a step this weekend and in recent races, and we're seeing that right now. Great stuff.
Yeah, no question about it. And I watched David work, and I was interested because I always find this role, and you've played this role, it's a really interesting mentor role. And what I thought that David did well is he didn't jump in as soon as he got out of the car. He sat and watched and listened. And when he finished doing his work, then he said, well, you know, hey, how was that?
Yeah, it's all about just guiding the driver in the right direction, getting them to focus on the things that matter. It's so easy to focus on, oh, this car did this to me, or this isn't right in my car, but it's just having the driver to focus on what's really important about, you know, the setup of the car and looking at your data and what things to really hone in on. So it's just keeping that driver, you know, fully focused at the same time.
I'll tell you what, Huizenrode has extended the lead to 1.4, and Lindblad is starting to be caught quickly by Shin and Brown. Look at this. Long way to go yet, and look, you can see the gap for yourself.
Yeah, and that just shows when your car's not quite where you want it, it starts, you start getting under pressure a lot easier. As we're not used to seeing this with Lindblad as well, starting to be the one that's being hunted. We're normally used to seeing him be the hunter with how much pace he's had throughout this championship, but the car's clearly not to his liking the way he's starting to lose pace past his halfway point of the race.
And you can see from that shot there, from the drone, just what Huizenrode's gap is. Here they come into the apex, and Brown still all over Shin. Surely he's going to have to make a move soon. He's been stuck behind him now for about 8 laps. He's already nudged him once. You can see the front of the yellow number 87. Whoa, and both get airtime. Nicely done. Oh, he is right there. Michael Shin with bags of experience of single-seaters. He too has done GP3 and Formula 3. Going back to High-Tech himself.
Michael Shin was very quick here last year too. We saw him, he finished third on the podium for the New Zealand Grand Prix, so he obviously suits his track and it gels well with it as well. So he's got some pace again this weekend, sitting in P3 once again.
Says he likes designing race helmets, Michael Shin. Well, there you go.
There you go. Loves being part of it.
Lawson likes to lend them. And you might notice that Will Brown is wearing a Liam Lawson lid. It's got to bode well. This is the track that Liam Lawson was kind of discovered, to be honest. And Helmut Marko, if you're watching, stay tuned. We've got more to come your way.
Clearly, with just how they're going this weekend. But with the Battle of the Bulls, we've got them on the front row for the New Zealand Grand Prix tomorrow. It's going to be something special to watch.
Yeah, it really will be. And they have stolen the march to get the front row locked out like they have. And they're, of course, good friends, good teammates, but high rivals. And there's definitely a bet on between them. And now, again, that high and wide line by Brown. Tries to cut it back. He locks up the left front again. And that's where he's looking so impressive. He still haven't found a place past yet. He's going for it here. He's tucked up. He comes side by side before the bridge. Something's got to give again, and Shin holds on. Nicely done.
He'll ever go off the bridge here.
Yeah. Oh,
not quite enough.
I'll tell you what, Shin knows he's been in a fight, that's for sure. He has been under massive pressure throughout this race as they go into reverse Indy. Where else could he? I mean, he's tried that on several occasions. Is there a surprise move now on this track that Michael Shin might not expect? I don't expect him to do a Lawson and go around the outside, as he did with Marcus Armstrong all those years ago. But is there another spot?
The only one he could throw a surprise is down into the carousel, which is the corner after the bridge, but he doesn't seem strong enough through that part of the track. It's a very hard move to make, and in these cars, you're able to get the car in quite early through there, so it's going to be a hard move to get done. But let's just watch him as he comes out of this part of the track. He gets in super close there, and it's all about the run out of this one. He actually seemed to slightly lock up on the way in, but you've got to get a really good run. He can throw it. He had a look.
Thought about it.
That's the other opportunity from that corner. But if that's not going to work, it's just focus on that throttle from there to try and carry it down to the hairpin.
Yeah, he got good drive again, a little bit of a wiggle on there, and he's still looking for it. Again, I don't think he's close enough to make the lunge. I don't think so, no. And he follows him through. Now the gap is 1.9 between Hoysen-Roeder and Lindblad as we focus on this fantastic battle, this nail-biting battle. Up to the bridge they come. Love that.
You can even hear with what they've done with the white lines onto that corner. They've added little rumbles into it as well. So when you go over the white line, you can actually tell yourself if you're over track limits or not, because you can feel that rumble through the steering wheel as you tip it into the chicane up over the top there. So it's a good way to be able to tell that it doesn't upset the car at all. So it's working really well to help the drivers out.
No change for Nikita Johnson. He stays 10th, and if it sits like this, Arvid Lindblad will be our new champion in my book. He started today 59 points ahead of Nikita, who's in his own battle with Schooler as well. There's only 6 points between those two, and both of them want that runner-up spot, and there's a lot of points still to be had from this weekend. 14 of the 18 gone. Shin holding on for now.
As you can see there, he just gets a little bit sideways, does Will Brown. Try getting on the throttle nice and early. But as they start closing up on Lindblad.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
Getting that a little bit closer. He's clearly starting to come under a bit of pressure here as the race, as the laps tick down.
Well, Shin's dropped Brown just a little bit in the last 2 laps and has got closer to Lindblad. Look, you can see it here as he dives into the left-hander. Let's just see how much ground he makes up.
Brown just made a little bit of a mistake out of turn 3 there, so that's really hurt him in this phase. But what this allows him to do is have a bit of a reset. He can let his front tyres cool off because he's not on that dirty air anymore, and then come in for another attack later on. But at the same time, it's going to be harder for him because that gap's starting to close up towards Lindblad as well.
Yeah, and Shin was just a couple of tenths quicker than both Lindblad and Hoysen-Roeder on that last lap. So that's why we're seeing that gap come down. Out of the last corner they come. I stood by our camera position here earlier in the weekend, and he goes so close to that wall. There you see it with Schooler. Very close indeed. They fear nothing, this lot. It's been a good year for Zagazzetta, bit of bad luck at Hampton Downs and at Manfield. but he's chirpy chappy, and he's put a lot of people in Peru on his side as he goes back to Europe, left Lima and his country quite a few years ago. He's in the same management company as both Lindblad and Nikita Johnson, so they've had a good camaraderie and a good competitive combat. He regrets the outside move that Lindblad made on him at the start of Terra Tonga's feature race. Said he won't let that happen again, but all's fair in love and war.
As we're just getting reports as well, Alex Crosby's weekend just goes from bad to worse. He's been given a 10-second penalty for exceeding track limits at the bridge there more than 4 times, so that's a huge blow to him. He's obviously not having the weekend he'd like at the moment, getting knocked out in the first qualifying, and yeah, it's not going his way.
Yeah, you know, you can forgive a guy for maybe 1 or 2, but 4, yeah, you're going to get pinged.
Yeah, and we spoke about it earlier in the weekend as well. It's not malicious by the drivers to be breaking these track limits. It's just you're so on edge as you arrive to that part of the track, but it's the same for every driver. And you don't mind what the rule is with the track limits. You just want to make sure that every driver is monitored exactly the same as everyone else, so it's fair.
Well, this is a very mature drive by this young 19-year-old Australian, Patrick Huizenroda. He's got control of this race. The gap now 3.4 seconds he's extended it to, and Lindblad now is more concerned with what's in the mirrors than he is about trying to compete against Huizenroda, because he is up the road and gone.
It's interesting, Brown now doesn't have the pace that he had a bit earlier on, so I'm wondering if he's now looking after these tyres for tomorrow's morning race. Yeah. Obviously they're going to run fresh tyres for the Grand Prix, so maybe a bit of a mind switch there, but either way, it's just complete drop of pace as Shin now puts all sorts of pressure on the back of Lindblad.
Into the carousel. Can he get a slingshot round there? No. Lindblad defends. And Shin is really sure of a move here. He can sense the opportunity to grab a scalp that's been the most dominant of the season. He goes high and wide. He'll switch back, try to stop Lindblad and get alongside him out of here. Can't quite do it. And that's brought Brown back into the fray.
Yes, completely brings Brown back into it as Lindblad under all sorts of pressure to go up over the top of the bridge once again, airborne off the top, but not quite close enough for Shin. Doesn't seem strong enough in this section of the track. It's really that from the S's onwards is very super strong.
Fascinating battle this. 3 laps to go, less than. And Shin has put on a great display of defensive driving and aggressive driving to keep up with Lindblad as well. And as Huizenroda crosses the line again, the gap has gone up to 4.7 seconds. He's circulating in the 1:37s, and Arvid did a 1:32.0 that last lap. So Arvid Lindblad is struggling.
Yeah, when you look at that, it's a massive time difference between the two of them. 1.3 seconds off what Huizenroda is doing up front. Huizenroda just dominating this race with nearly a 5-second lead.
Yeah, so he's making that Red Bull car as wide as he can. Will Brown, like I said, has come back into this. He, last time out, did a 1:30.7, so he was on the pace. The other two were not. So Brown's come right back into this, and Lindblad is struggling. Zagazeta wants a piece of it too. The man in 5th place, just behind, in the number 8. There he is. With a lock up, Lindblad, big mistake, and Shin goes through. Surely Shin will take 2nd place here. They're side by side. Lindblad holding on, but Brown's coming round. And Brown's going to take a good look at Shin on the outside. Can't quite do it. Lindblad holds on, but for dear life. And here they come over the bridge. Shin under pressure. Oh, that was great action. And they all hold on to it, but Lindblad was sideways. Yeah, and it's not over yet into reverse Indy.
Lindblad got lucky there because...
Very lucky.
He just didn't get the run off the corner.
Look at Zagazeta. He's got past Brown.
Damage to Brown.
Yeah, Brown's got damage on the front wing, and that puts him out. Oh, what a shame. He's been pushing so hard, and now he's going backwards quickly. We saw this with Zagazeta in qualifying, but that front wing is almost under the car, and what he doesn't want is any more of it to come off and go underneath the car, because that will make it undrivable. He just wants to get back to the pits now. Meanwhile, back at the front, the gap 6 seconds between Huizenroda. This the final lap. Lindblad still 2nd, but we don't know how, as Michael Shin holding on to 3rd. Here's Huizenroda under the bridge for the last time.
Commanding race for Hoytsenrode. Massive gap out in front. 6 seconds he leads this race. He's been fast all season. Now about to convert a race win from pole position.
Wow, this is a very mature drive for a man who is heading back to Great Britain and GB3 this season. And he has put on a show here. He's been racing in Europe for quite a while now, but he was relatively unknown when he arrived on these shores. But he's certainly progressed as the season has gone on, and he deserves this win. No question about it. He got the whole shot, kept his calm, and then built that lead. Lindblad, I think, will, in the interview, tell us what was wrong, because the car just hasn't been as competitive as it has been. But out of the penultimate corner, into the kinky comes, and Patrick Hoytsenrode in the number 5 for M-Tech. An Australian team wins with an Australian driver. Well done. Now we wait for Lindblad. Somehow, someway, gets over the line in second. Another podium for him. Michael Shin, a valiant 3rd place. Zagazeta got up to 4th when Brown went out. Schooler 5th. Rashid 6th. Best result for him. Montiero 7th, and likewise for him. Nikita Johnson 8th. But as far as I'm concerned, Lindblad has done it.
Yep, he has provisionally taken out the championship for the Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Championship for 2025.
That's impressive. 2 races to go, and this young man who was quite timid when he first arrived, or at least a little bit not open. We can confirm, we've heard it from race control and the management, that Arvid Lindblad is your 2025 Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania champion. And like many Red Bull drivers before him, he goes down in the annals of history. But this was one of the great seasons that I've seen. I've done 14 of the 20, and I've never seen anybody as impressive as this, and he still has a chance to go for the Grand Prix. So Hoytsenrode of Australia wins his first race in the series. Lindblad 2nd, and Michael Shin holds on to a very, very good 3rd place. Zagazeta got up to 4th, Schooler 5th. Sean Rashid of the USA 6th, Nicholas Montiero of Brazil 7th, Nikita Johnson of the US in 8th, then Sebastian Manson of New Zealand 9th, and Brock Feeney of Australia in 10th. Will Brown in the end with that broken wing finishes 11th. Jet Boland 12th, no move for him. Enzo Ye 13th, Nicholas Stati 14th, Lawley, Crosby and Barrett. Crosby getting a penalty. Well, let's take a look at the highlights. We said it was going to be a drag race to the bus stop, and it was, but Hoytsenrode got his nose ahead, and Lindblad thought better of it and slotted in behind him. Then there was all sorts going on behind. Shin slotted into 3rd, and Crosby banging wheels with Barrett Wolf, but luckily both of them escaped. And then it got really tight between Brown and Shin for the best part of 10 laps, as Brown just hounded him and even nudged him occasionally, as they both leapt into the air for glee, putting on a show and a half. But the South Korean wasn't giving up to the 26-year-old supercar hero. And in fact, then went after Lindblad, who almost lost it. How he held on to that, I'll never know. Zagazeta came through when Brown's wing went sideways. Red Bull do give you wings, but sometimes they take them away. Shin, though, held on, and Zagazeta put the pressure on as the race continued. But it was all about the red and black of this man, Patrick Hoytsenrode. Takes victory here at Highlands to win race 1. He's going to love that. He's going to so love that. He's got a big smile, has Patrick. And I'm sure one of the first phone calls he'll make will be to David Brabham. And yeah, Sir Jack, of course, won the Grand Prix back in the day. I think he won it 3 times.
Yep, and that's a huge confidence boost heading towards the Grand Prix as well. He's sitting on P3 for that Grand Prix, and he's clearly got pace to burn at the moment, so he'll be super happy with that one. And, you know, there'll be no better way going in tomorrow, knowing you've got that sort of pace and able to take out a race win like that.
Really gives him confidence for race 2 and 3. Let's head down to Stephen McIver.
Australian driver, Australian team, lights to flag. The smile says it all. Congratulations, Patrick Hoytsenrode. When it comes together, it comes together.
Yeah, thank you. Just focus on getting off the line, and then after that, just manage the gap. The car was great, so thanks to the boys and girls at M-Tech. And yeah, just felt very comfortable the entire race and got it back.
It was such a dominant win. Did you expect that much of a gap?
To be honest, I thought it was going to be like 3 seconds when Arvid started dropping off in the middle, but I knew I had the pace, and we've had the pace all weekend. So yeah, it's great to get such a big win.
Now we think about the Grand Prix tomorrow. Now there's another race in between, but your P3 on the grid for the Grand Prix. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that quality didn't go quite to plan for me. I would have liked to put it on pole like I did in Q1, but I think if I can get it off the line and then give the Supercar boys a run for their money, it'll be a good race.
You keep that eye of the tiger, mate. Congratulations on this race win.
Thank you.
In P2, it is, of course, Arvid Lindblad, and I don't think he'll be too upset with a P2 because you've done what you had to do. You've wrapped up your the championship. Let's not worry about that now. We'll talk about that in a moment. But how hard was it out there?
Yeah, it wasn't definitely wasn't the easiest race of the championship so far. Yeah, I wanted to get a really good start. Obviously, I knew that was going to be critical for the result. I think, yeah, Patrick did a good start, so it wasn't easy to get him into turn one. And then the pace was good the first couple of laps. I was putting him under pressure, but then I don't know, something happened, and all of a sudden I was really slow the second half of the race, and it was just about trying to survive and get to the end. But yeah, regardless, really happy, really grateful to M2 for the car this season, and yeah, thank you to them.
We'll talk more about that in a moment. Congratulations. Get ready for another podium.
Thank you.
And in P3, he was P3 here in the Grand Prix last year. One of the good blokes too. Michael Shin, come a little close, mate. Congratulations. How good was that? And boy, you gave Arvid a run for his money.
Oh yeah, no, that was one of the best races I've had. Like it was so close throughout the race. You know, Will Brown, he's a really good racer. He was always trying to go for a move on me. And then I was in the end of the race closing in on Arvid a bit, and I was trying to get some positions, but you know, still finished on the podium. So I'm happy about that.
Was it in your mindset to just go all out today?
Yeah, because I had a good quali one, but my quali position for the Grand Prix was a bit limited, so I decided to give everything I've got.
Congratulations on P3. Get ready for the podium.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's get ready for the podium. Race 1, round 5 of the Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Championship here at Highlands Motorsport Park in Cromwell. Trophies presented today by Andrew Aitchison from Castrol. And in third place, Michael Shin of Korea. In second place from Great Britain, Arvid Lindblad. And in first place, his first win of the championship from Australia. Give it up for Patrick Hoitzenroder. That is your official podium for race 1, round 4 of the Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Championship. Now I'll ask two of the drivers to step down. That's Michael and Patrick, and I'd like to ask Arvid to go onto the top step of the podium. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the Chris Amon Trophy for the Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Championship is about to be handed out. It'll be presented by Andrew Davis, Vice President of Toyota New Zealand. And the Chris Amon Trophy for the 2025 Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Championship goes to Arvid Lindblad. So there is your champion, Arvid Lindblad. Arvid, I'll ask you to come back down now and have another chat, because the whole focus of you coming here was to win the championship, earn those 18 super license points. You've done it, 2 races to spare. Tell me you're a happy bloke.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, the season's been amazing. Really grateful to M2. I think there were many stages across the season which were really impressive, and they gave me an unbelievable car for the whole season, and this result wouldn't be possible without them. So I'm extremely grateful to everyone, Jonathan, Mark, Elise, my engineer Antonio, and everyone else from the team, because yeah, it's been a really good year.
I know the focus has been about the 18 championship points. You said you want to come out and win every race. Hasn't been possible, but now you've got the Grand Prix tomorrow. You've won every feature race, but you start at P5. Is it possible for you to go and win all 5 feature races?
I mean, that's definitely, that would be the goal. I mean, yeah, like I said, the year's been amazing. To win all 4 of the feature races so far has been amazing. So it's not going to be easy starting P5. There's a bit of rain on the forecast, which I'm definitely going to be doing a rain dance tonight because I think that's our best opportunity.
Do you think you'll have a text on your phone when you get out of this from Dr. Marco saying, well done?
I don't know. I think it's quite early in the morning where he is, so maybe a bit later, but we'll see. But yeah.
You've won the championship. Have you got any thoughts, but even 2 races to go, about what this actually means to you as a young driver going forward and eyeing Formula One, what this win means and how important it would be now going forward?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, it was the biggest reason why I've come here was to put myself in a better position for the future, for bigger opportunities. So yeah, I've put myself up for that now. So yeah, I'm gonna go forward and try to do as best I can in the 2 races tomorrow. I've got nothing to lose now. It's all wrapped up. So yeah, gonna go and enjoy them, and then look forward to the upcoming F2 season.
Well, but thanks for being a part of New Zealand motorsport history, because I think we all know you're going to have a very fine future. So go get it.
Thank you very much.
There you go, folks. Arvid Lindblad, your 2025 Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania champion.
Great words, Stephen, and Mum's ready for the photograph, Anita, and what a lovely moment that is. And I'll tell you what, Chris Amon, a huge part of the 20 years of this championship, would be looking down and be pretty impressed with what this man has done. But that's it. Helmut Marko will be making an early morning call because Arvid Lindblad moves to 3:43 and makes it impossible. But how good is this? Gula and Nikita Johnson now equal on 2:69, and Huizenrode is just 5 behind. Zagazeta 5th on 2:34. Josh Pearson not here this weekend, but Manson, Shin in 8th position after that podium. Enzo Ye 9th, Rashid 10th, and Will Brand still 11th. Further down, Nicholas Montiero, Alex Crosby, Nicholas Statti, Tommy Smith, Jet Bowling, Barrett Wolf, and James Lawley. And by my calculations, he's done it. He's got the 40 points. You have just witnessed a man making it the grade for super license points worthy to get him to Formula One. Let's head back down to Stephen and Greg.